them dying out in the wilderness because of food, complaining about food. Yes, food is going to be good, but you got to realize a lot of this food that we're eating today is not what our great grandparents and great grandparents was raised with, because they had their own chicken and they weren't injecting their chickens with antibiotics and other kind of stuff. They weren't. They was going to mill houses, milling their own wheat into flour, so they made their own stuff. So you didn't have this white flour, white sugar, white rice, all that has been processed. So we got to look at what's on that table, along with the old wounds. You know, God tells us that He heals the wounds. He's the great physician. But a lot of times we don't even know those wounds are there. And these food and alcohol as these things that's supposed to be a fun thing turns out to be a tragedy. So we're eating this food, we're drinking alcohol, and that trigger that child to be angry, agitated, poor patience. All of those factors plays in along with the wounds that has not allowed to heal. And now mention that book, Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die, is a perfect little book to read. And it also links your emotional trauma to physical illness that you can bring on yourself by being unforgiving, holding on to the hurt and the pain. The individual you're mad at is not going to feel those pains. You're feeling it. And it can change into heart attacks, ulcers, cancer, diabetes. All these factors can, along with the food we're eating, but what we put in the gut affects the frontal lobe of our brain. Now we got these emotional feeling in our gut. Well, we're angry, we can't release them, and then we explode. Words and things come out where it didn't come out.
Yeah, and it's like the entire part of us, our mind, things are going on in our mind. Sometimes even, sickness in the body, and then you got these other issues that are buried that you hadn't talked about and you don't want to talk about. Sometimes things can be so painful that you don't want to talk about it, but there got to be some type of outlet or a common ground of and sometimes even dismissing the pride. Sometimes we can be prideful that we don't talk. But and sometimes we think people should figure out our feelings. Why is she acting like that? Or she's been through some type of trauma, but she's not releasing it. A lot of times it's just a good heart-to-heart conversation can make all the difference in the world when it comes to relationships. But if we never get to that common ground, many times both parties stands on their side of the fence and nobody comes in the middle and try to bring it back together and create a good memory. Thanksgiving should be a time that we create a good memory. Think about it. Thanksgiving. This should be positive. It shouldn't be a lot of negativity. But sometimes people might drink a little alcohol and they get out of themselves, and now they think they can say anything. No, it's a time of family unity, which is not to say family love, expressing coming together of eating and fellowship. Well, a lot of times when we eat, it represents a fellowship. Would you not say?
My take on Thanksgiving and these family holidays to have us to spend money. I think Thanksgiving should be every day. And every time you connect with family, you have family, you should be grateful. God tells us to honor our mother and father. Thy days will be long on earth. We got a lot of young people leaving here early because they're disrespectful. But then parents, God even tell you in the book of Proverbs that you don't provoke your children to anger. So we have some parents that are not good parents, that they're not doing their job of teaching their children God's words, His statutes. The only thing they're teaching them is how to curse, steal, and allow them to steal and bring things in. So they're bringing a curse on their home spiritually. So there's a spiritual attack that's happening to the home. Not only that, because of the parents. The parents aren't taking up their mantle and doing their job to teach their children according to the word. And we have the physical one with enemies coming in with food. the wrong kind of food for us to eat and drink that affects our frontal lobe of our brain and our gut. So we're sick. So we know we got too many. And then we got demonic. The Bible tells us we have three enemies: the world, the flesh, and the devil. And all three, families have been attacked or is being attacked by all three of these entities that's here. But Yeshua, Jesus Christ, had came on the cross, died on the cross to overcome all three. We have the victory, but not in our words, but what we say, but what the scripture says. And many people don't even know that. There's a young man on YouTube that goes in various stores and asks people, he says, salvation code. If you accept Jesus Christ, do you want to live in heaven or hell? I don't want to do that. I don't believe in that. Old people, young people, I don't even. He said, well, I'll give you $1,000 if you can tell me the 10 Commandments. Or I'll give you $50 or $20 if you can give me a scripture. People don't know his word. And therefore, because the word is power, we don't have no ammunition. The only ammunition you got is from Satan. And Satan brings on more and more of attacks. To battle with someone, to fight. And Yeshua said, look, I got this, but use my words. But we don't know what that is. He gives us dietary laws to follow. We don't know what that is. He's given us commandments to follow. We don't know what that is. We don't know what his statutes, his laws, none of that. So our family's not knowing this. So we're out here eating from the world system, and we're getting what the world system has to offer. Sickness, anger, disease, imprisonment, mental health. We're eating from the world of the table. That's why you see in 23rd Psalm, Jesus said when the prayer, he said, I go to prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemy. What's on your table? Yeshua broke bread with the disciples. He broke bread with the people, feeding them physical food because he knew that was important for the body and the mind. Spiritual food, which is his word, practicing his laws, keeping his statutes, obeying his words. So we want to come together because some man said Thanksgiving is the day for us to be nice and be kind to each other. 364 other days.
Hold on, wait a minute. Let me grab this other call. All right, we got another. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. You?
Yeah, I'm doing. Are you live with the person? Are you having on?
I'm live, Mr. Robert.
Yes, ma'am. You sound like that voice I've heard before. I didn't know if you were on tape or not. But listen, I just want to go back to one something she said, and the verse she enumerated under their mother and their father, the days may be lent, and I think it is. But you know, and also it's that the children, the mother and father should respect and honor their children. And I found this in my life, and you know, I talk about a lot. I talk to guys who've gotten children that are not all in their marriage, and because that was my life. And my father, I was in the marriage of my father. I don't go around trying to tell the people who reared their children well, both parents, or did the best they could. I don't talk to them because I don't know what they went through. But I would have said, honor their mother and their father, that they may be lengthened longer, yes, and more happier too. But it first comes from the mother and the father, or the parents, or the guardians, honoring and respecting the children. We have to respect our children. Our children will give us back, and I noticed that I have 6. They will give us back the kind of respect that we show in their presence. And if we show and respect in their presence, 9 times out of 10, respect is something that's embedded within you. If you show respect in your home, you 9 times out of 10 going to show respect in the public. And if you show respect, people will, even some of the worst ones, will give you respect. You know, I've been around when I was a young boy at Minister Henry. Let me just finish on this. And some of the boys got to be cursing and doing when certain grown men around, those who were drinking, whiskey, cursing in front of them. But when they got around certain grown people, they were, oh, don't say that, that's on Miss so-and Miss so-and-so. So the children should honor their mother and their father, whether they gave them respect or not. But the mother and the father are the guardians and the people in the community have a responsibility to give respect to those young children whom they're in their presence. And you will get your, you see, you're going to get back sooner or later what you've given. If you give respect, sooner or later you're going to get it back, whether your children or the public or whomever. I'll just listen to if the lady will comment on that, or you want to comment on that, maybe disagree with what I said, that's fine. I'll go back and listen on the radio.
All right, then. Thank you, Mr. Robert. I agree with you that parents should even teach their children to respect, especially older people. The older people don't get the respect they used to get. You know, like you were saying earlier, you know, you just wouldn't say anything in front of those that are maybe in authority or older or whatever. So what has happened in that? What brought that gap on, Mr. Robert?
No, again, it's some kids don't know any better to be. They don't think they're being disrespectful because they have not been taught different. And you know, kids try anything. See, we learn from our environment. And when I came to the world, I don't remember anything when I came. But I learned from my environment. I called my grandmother Mom because my mother called her Mom. I called my mother by her short name because that's what everybody around me called her. So kids come into the world with nothing on their mind. Nothing. Their mind is just empty like a sheet of paper you pull out of a notebook. I call it tabula rasa. I think I remember in school it was said. So, but what they learn is what they see. You know, what they would be, their bodies will be composed of those mothers and fathers who are drinking out there and having and drugs and stuff, in particular in today. But what they're doing is producing children who are not totally normal. They don't have that normal wit because you mess with it with alcohol and drugs. And Minister Henry, you can notice those kids who come from those homes. Some of them called middle class. I'm not saying these are the only ones who teach the children well. They're particular about what they eat and what they do. And oftentimes those children in school have an easy time. But those children that come from parents who drink liquor while the mother was pregnant or while the dad impregnated the mother, oftentimes those children have a hard time because they already been intoxicated from birth.
Oh, wow. And
don't make it well. But think about what it would have been if they had not had that parent who contaminated. Some do well. Now, don't get me wrong. All of them don't fail, but so many of them do.
So it's important, the food and the things we put in our mouth and even what we say, because, you know, even a baby will learn from the words that we speak. So, you know, we want to even be speaking the right words to our children, not to curse our children, Mr. Robert.
Not on that, Mr. Henry. Anybody who's listening out there, I don't care what language you speak. When your child is born, you speak that language to him or her, he'll learn it. If it's vulgar language, if it's English, if it's French, if it's any language. A kid, the first teacher really, most times, there are always some exceptions to the rules. You know, sometimes you adopt babies out of convert. But the first teacher is that mother, 9 times out of 10, or a greater percentage than that. And how that mother speaks when that child, that's what they know. Like I said, they know what come into their eyes and understanding when they get to earth. And you and I did the same thing. And again, I don't know what you called your parents or whatever you called them. You heard them call themselves that other people around you call them. Am I right? You know what I'm saying?
That's right. I learned to say mama and daddy.
And one another, mama and daddy. So you would say.
But we're in a time zone where it looks like we have lost some of the things we started off with. What would you say are some things we can do to kind of help us get back on track with our children?
Again, you got to get back on track with children where in other words, the respect you show to children. I show my children when they were babies the same respect I would show my mom. The same respect that I would show. Now, I'm not perfect, no. But I'm just saying, we learn from, you have something I can learn from. The lady who's on the other end, all those who are listening, we have something we can learn from one another. And when you get old enough, you learn this. I'm going to treat you the way I would like to be treated. In other words, but when you're children, you follow the patterns that's in your presence. In other words, when you went to school, you called the teacher Miss or Ms. or Miss or whatever it was because that's what they told who they told you they were, and that's what the rest of the students called. So we learn from our environment. Some of it is innate, but 99% of what we learn is come from our environment. If you go and observe children, and children are the best examples of what their homes are like. Not size or not looks, but mannerism.
Sometimes parents might not have the maturity or the knowledge, especially when it comes to young parents, to rear their children in the right direction, Mr. Robert.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But not having that knowledge, the children will have to learn on their own and see why another area is like if a child you start saving for a child when he's young, and then when he gets old, he'll have more saved. But if you wait till he gets old to start saving, you're gonna have to rush to get him something saved. So children, you have to. We and all of us. One thing in common about all of us who we're talking. All of us have been children one day. It's been a long time since I was a child, but I've been one. I don't think I was grown this old. but we learn from our environment. Most of our learning comes from our environment. And as I said before, if you bring a healthy child here, one whom you've eaten right, who lived right, and away from drugs and alcohol, that has been the biggest problem in the African American community. I think Earnestine Hendricks and the lady who's listening. Our young people back in the 60s, they start taking a lot of drugs. Now people use whiskey and stuff and wine and beer before that, but in the 60s during the civil rights. Not all of them, but so many of them, and the drugs were tampered with to make you even crazier. And so as the young parents were taking the drugs, they were crazy. They brought crazy children. The crazy is not the real scientific word, but they brought children here who were mentally retarded, who just didn't know how to act. Just so many different, but it started in the 60s. If you go back to the 60s, that's where the greatest problem. Now, we'll achieve much more than we had in the 60s financially. But if you go back there, and I noticed in the 70s, when I began teaching in the 70s, I noticed those children later years who were born in the 60s and become of age. Those were the ones that was difficult to handle. You really need to know some psychology and dealing with children in order to not put them out of class or have to whip them. I didn't do that because I was an older person and I had 3 children when I began teaching. So I knew I had made all my mistakes with my children, I guess. So again, our children, they don't know. I submit to you and anybody who is listening, when the children know better, 9 times out of 10, they would do better.
Well, Mr. Ernest Dunlap says, be an example. Be an example to your children. And I totally agree with that because children learn from their environment. Someone said that earlier, and they learn from the parent.
Yes, and you are an example, whether you recognize it or not, good or bad. Now, there are always going to be some exceptions to the rules. There are some people who are in the best environment and turn out to be thugs. But 9 times out of 10, you be the example. Whether you want it or not, your children are going to do the same thing you do. And I know most dads who are real around their children when the little boys got up a little side, first thing they do is get the dad the shoes and put them on. I noticed that with my oldest son. His mother and I were together till he was about 4 or 5 years old. But he used to get up every morning when he got old enough and get my hat or my shoes. He'd have shoes on the wrong foot, but he'd have my shoes on. So he'd see me with those same things on. But all of us get our pattern from something. Sometimes we deviate from what we see the pattern. We learn that we don't want to be that. In other words, I've seen some negative things people do. Look like they're having fun. But I didn't want to do that. And drinking and using drugs was one of those. I'm not discounting those people who did it, but I thought I didn't want to do that because it looked like me. When they got those drugs down, they started acting different. Now, I want you to do that. Go anywhere. You go anywhere when people first come in, laughing and jolly. But when they get started swallowing that alcohol and smoking those reefers, our behavior change.
You know, and they legalized marijuana for in certain states, and I don't think that's a good thing, because I know it can be used for pain and all of that, but getting out on the road, you know, I think about when you get out on the road driving and you're under the influence of marijuana. How you going to deal with that?
Yeah, man, but people don't legalize anything they can make money off. They also legalize books in libraries, and people don't go there and go crazy. You know, anything that money can be made in this so-called capitalistic country, somebody's going to sell it. Let me repeat it now. If money can be made from it, somebody's going to sell it. And they can't sell it unless somebody buys it.
All right, then, Mr. Rob, I guess I'm going to go back to Marsha before our time run out, but I appreciate you.
Let me say hello, Miss Marsha. I thought it was she, but I wasn't sure. I don't like to call people and call them somebody else's name. Nobody likes to be named somebody else. But good morning, Miss Marsha, and good morning to Minister Hendricks, listening audience. And I go to the line, and this is rather than hold up this line, someone else might want to call. Minister Hendricks, thank you so much for allowing me to expound on some of my old experience. All of us have some experience that may be good for somebody else, even though if you find out you don't want to do that. That's a learning also.
All right, then, Mr. Robert, we appreciate you. Want you to have a great holiday.
Thank you much, and you and all of your listeners. I'm going to go back to the radio listeners. Thank you for allowing me to call you.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day. Let me go back to Marsha here. Marsha, you were saying that every day ought to be.
It was great to hear Mr. Robert's voice. You know, he's always chiming in. It's kind of like we're a tag team. I think we're born around the same era, that we have the values and teaching from our parents and grandparents, which reflect our belief and our values of who we are today. And listening to what you guys were saying, it goes back to the parents. We got a generation of young people being brought up with video games, television, rap music, and those words are seeds, and they're planting seeds to the next generation that gives them a sense of entitlement. They have to be able to think that their words and things will not come back to haunt them. And I think it's so sad to see these young people out here stealing, killing, and doing something. And then when they're sentences to 20 and 30 years, then you see that little boy, that fear, that child in them. But again, the world, the flesh, and the devil. Those are three enemies. And we have to know as a family, not just picking this one day of Thanksgiving. We do your homework and the study on Thanksgiving and Christopher Columbus and all what they did to the Indians and what's happened here. But what we need to know is what's happening with our own family. What you're feeding your family going to have an input of how they're going to behave in school, outside of school. Same way with the alcohol and drugs. If someone in your family had a peanut allergy, a child or someone, you make sure that nobody's coming in the house with something with peanuts, because it's very severe. And some people have peanuts. Just the smell of the aroma would send them into an ER.
Hold on 1 minute. Hold on. Let me grab this other call. Hold on. WTWG.
Hello.
I got some noise in the background. If you turn that down, but good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Minister Hendricks. Right over.
Turn the radio down.
Yeah, turn your radio down so we can hear what you got to say, because we're in a great holiday. And I know every day is a day of Thanksgiving. Yes, it is. But
yes, sir. Well, first of all, I want to say good morning
to radio land, to you, Minister Hendricks, and to the one day on the show with you this morning. Greetings from myself, Senior Pastor Robert Gannon, my wife, Prophet Pastor Mary Gannon, and from our church that we pastored in the beginning of Last Highway Ministry at 1210, Highway 45 North here in Columbus, and a hearty greeting to the city of Columbus. And certainly we have a lot to thank God for. Clean water to drink, clean water to bathe in, roof over our head. And my wife and I were looking on the television this morning, the children in third world countries, flies around them, and they can't bathe in clean water and drink clean water. But we here in the United States, we have a lot, thank God for. I want to say good morning to Mr. Roberts this morning and his great intimate wisdom, and want to wish him happy Thanksgiving in state of Alabama where he is as well. I heard the topic about kids raising. I'm 50 years old. I was born in 1973. I'm going on 51 in 2 more months when March comes. I'm half of 100, half of a century. The reason our children are doing what they're doing now, radio, land, and show, because parents are raising children now. I know somebody said I ain't come to hear about this, but I got to see it anyway. I was out there in Walmart, and these young teenage boys, I guess they're about 15, some years old, they work there. You know, the young boy that pull the burgers in, they just standing up there. Me and the lady was looking at them. I just see them standing there, ain't doing nothing, making food money. It's pitiful. When I was coming along many years ago, because I'm half of 6, half of 100, many years ago, Mama had a double head axe. She cut wood up. I was 4, my sister Polly was 5, and Mama had us to tote that wood in the house. She is still working on the inside of us. And like I told the lady at Walmart, I said, now you can't be mad at the people that hire the young people. You got to look at the parents, because they should still work in there before they come out here and get a job. So truly, our young people have not been taught and hadn't been raised. And then it's so bad that our young men want to date these young girls and eat up all the food, eat up and laying up and don't want to work. It's pitiful. And then the young ladies that let them do this, they just as wrong as the young men. And they all go eat up everything in the house because you let them do it. So they, get you somebody that's going to work and help put food on the table. That's going to help you produce and go higher. Tyler Perry put out a movie called I want to see that I can do bad by myself. And so certainly, young lady do bad by herself. You need nobody to carry you down. If you in the mud and somebody else in the mud with you, how can they pull you about this both in the mud? Both y'all gonna sink in quicksand. So certainly young people need to be trained, but we know there's hope for our young people. That hope is Jesus Christ. They're not beyond hope. They're not beyond hope. Hope is at the cross where Jesus died. And if only they get a grasp of Jesus, they'll know what hope is. Thank you very much, and God bless you. And my wife want to know when you're going to start doing the questions for the Christmas thing there.
Okay, we'll start that in December, around the first week of December.
Okay, the first week of December, baby. Okay, I was telling her that. Okay, well, thank you. We salute y'all guys, and y'all have a hearty Thanksgiving. Eat a lot, but don't eat too much. Eat a lot and enjoy. Say hello to Bishop McCarter and give him my greetings on his retirement. State Bishop, tell him he served well, and the Lord got many more great things from Bishop Bob McCarter. We love you in the Lord, and be blessed.
All right, you too. Thank you for calling. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go back to Marcia now. Let me see. My granddaughter said something to me. We were talking on Saturday, my granddaughter now, and she said sometimes the young people like to listen to people that are trying to teach them rather than people trying to force something on them. Let me say that again. She was kind of like we're saying the way you get young people attention, it was all in the presentation, how we present it to them, that they don't like anything that just forced upon them, but they want it to be in a teaching way to help them to come to a decision or help them to realize what they're teaching is right. How do you feel about that, Marcia? Are you still?
Everyone taking learning experience different, the tone of voice and how it's been delivered. But a lot of times we train on a certain structural way to teach our kids. The teacher's at the front, you regurgitate information, they're supposed to take it in. And, depending on how your parents is raised, boy, you listen to me, you don't talk back, do as I say, not as I do, that kind of concept. So it depends on the parents, the teacher is delivering the message, and then the child. How the tone, yes, the tone's going to be everything. The tone in which you deliver that message. And I don't even, if the tone is right or if your heart is right, is that child going to have soil, a seed, his heart's going to be open to receive this. Some people's heart's so cold and it's not receiving anything. They're not receiving anything. And I think it's kind of go back to the parable when Jesus talked about sowing seeds. Some fall on stony ground, some start off on good soil. So it depends on the soil of the heart. Because once somebody speaks those words out, they are seeds. They're going to take root or they're not going to take root. So I think it goes both ways. And it's hard right now. We have so much going on with the COVID, and then we have Ukraine and Russia, and we have Israel. And now we got all these people here in the United States and people concerned about their own safety, food prices, mental illness, people not having insurance to cover their home. So people are stressed a lot of ways. But with stress, I truly believe, because we're trying to live like the world lives and not like what God told us to live like. So that puts stress on us. You're out here buying food and, oh my God, the food prices. I mean, ham hocks and chicken wings and all that kind of stuff used to be, turkey wings used to be some of the cheapest meat to buy, but it's expensive now. Just oxtail. I've purchased some oxtail, and that's so expensive. So we got so many factors that's shaking the foundation and the value of family. It starts with mom and daddy not walking in obedience and teaching their children or loving each other so the kids can love within the home. Because we set the example as parents of what love is like, acceptance is like. We're going to make mistakes, and if a child makes a mistake, it's part of a learning process, not to put the child down or to beat the child up. But a lot of people are working out their anger that they have from themselves onto their children.
That's called projection. I said that sometimes people do project their anger and their frustration on others. But we started off talking about how to overcome the division in our family when some family members have stopped talking and they're just kind of withdrawn from the family setting. How can we bring that? How can we kind of close that gap? Sometimes family break out over children differences, something the children had a disagreement about. And now the parents are because of what the children did. So there are so many things in families that, that we can deal with at certain times. But it's all about trying to overcome the division. What would you say would be your number one thing of overcoming the division in the family?
My thing is prayer. And a lot of times they don't even have to know you're praying for them. The Holy Spirit would do this. And that's the thing, we're trying to do the job of God and the Holy Spirit. And that's all we got to do is decrease. John the Baptist knew his position. He said, I got to decrease so he can increase. So a lot of times, as moms, been guilty of it. We're trying to fix things our way. And it don't work that way. I have a prayer journal, so I journal. I journal my feelings about family members or other people. I don't have to lash it out. I journal and let God know how I'm feeling about this and what causes me to go through what I'm going through, So it's all different. And I think prayer is the foundation of us going to healing, first within ourselves, now others. So first we got to fix us, and we ask God to show us the impurities or what we lack in us.
Right, instead of blaming. Hold on 1 minute. Let me pick up this call right here. I'll come back to you. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Mr. Hendricks, I always prayed that I could present to my students in a way that they would be able to comprehend and that I could be patient and plan what was needed for them. And this is the time. Let me just go and thank all the Minister Henry, some of the most important people in a society. Let me repeat that. Second only, in my opinion, to good parents. Because, Minister Henry, when your little ones got 6 years old, whom did you send them to for all day? Never sent your children to you. I'm saying you, neither I, to all day to the teachers. And they're so underpaid, so unappreciated. And we should thank a teacher every time our child is able to read and write. We should thank a teacher. Not saying because I was one. I was also an administrator. But Minister Henry, and I say to teachers who are out there, particularly young teachers, I know teachers are frustrated and tired around this time of the year. They're having this week off, and then they're going to get off for Christmas. But here's the best way to keep discipline in your classroom: is to be prepared to do more than what the students are able to comprehend or able to do in the daytime, in that one period. Make sure you're prepared, Minister Hendricks. And I hope that some of the younger teachers are listening. I don't think I know everything. No, I learned also. But I learned that when I was prepared, there was no problems in the class because everybody was busy. You know, when you decide when you're going to clean up in your house, you go to work and you don't want nothing to disturb. So the same way in a classroom. If the teacher goes there and talk about what they learned yesterday, first of all, they're going to lose the attention of the students. And if you get the attention of those students, you're going to make everybody be busy and paying attention to what's going on rather than start talking and disrupting the class. So teachers, I thank you. I thank those who taught my 6 children. And Minister Henry, I know you thank those who taught you. Because if it weren't for teachers, think what our young people would be like today.
All right, then, Mr. Robert, we appreciate that comment. All right, we're going to go back. And, you know, I thank my Sunday school teachers. I thank all teachers that were in my life. The Sunday school beginning with the Sunday school teachers and public school teachers, I thank God, because we spend so much of our life, probably about 45% of our life growing up around teachers. And the greatest teachers should be in the home, start in the home first. But Brother Dunlap says one thing to help us to overcome our division in our families is love them in spite of. Love them in spite of. And love is going to be the main point or the strongest point that we can have in our family. Because if we don't get to that point of love, many times we are going around and around in circles trying to straighten it out on our own. And sometimes we need a heart check. Do I really love this person that I'm trying to connect with? Do I really care for them? Or do I value my opinion or blaming them for something I could have had a small portion in it? Maybe if I didn't do the main thing, I could have had a small portion in it too. As far as this, sometimes a major part of what happened. So sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves about the situation and relationships and not just point the finger at everybody else, but sometimes do a self-evaluation on ourselves as well. Marcia, you still there? We're getting ready to count it down. We got another broadcast coming up at 11, so we're going to get ready to count it down. So what would you say to that?
You know what? My thing is we're going to take it to our knees and take it to him in prayer, because you hear so many people give testimonies in the past. You know, my grandma was praying for me, but my mom was praying for me, and I know that sustained me. They felt that. I remember when I was doing long-term subbing in Douglas County and here in Georgia, it was the teacher had told me we had his name was Derek. He's a little boy named Derek, handsome little boy. But I think it was third grade. This was back in 2003. He was crawling up underneath the desk. He was seeing spirits, and his voice was telling him to do things, and the little kid was scared. So the sub-teacher, the original teacher, says, we think we're going to have to put him with a psychiatrist, or he's going to have to be instituted, because he keeps crawling up underneath the desk. He's hearing voices. He's seeing things. And I went in that classroom, I anointed my hand with prayer, and I prayed over that classroom. I prayed over the kids. And when he was doing this whole when I had the kids do an assignment, I would touch his shoulder and just kind of pray gently over him as he in the classroom. Not once. I was in that class for 2 weeks. That boy crawled up under the desk, see anything or hear anything. One day he forgot his lunch in the classroom, so I gave him the key to the door, to the classroom door. He ran to get his lunch, and the kids were walking ahead of us. The class was walking ahead of us. I said, hold my hand. I had him to hold my hand, and as we walked, I'm praying. He looked up at me. He said, you pray. I said, yes. He said, I can feel it. And he let go of my hand and ran and caught up with the other children.
Wow. That was something.
Yeah, and that's what we need to do. We want to do it in our own strength, and we don't have it. It's in his word. It was on the cross. We have to use his word to overcome the darkness that the enemy has placed in our homes, in our children, through these video games, through these television programs. It's hard for me to sit down on evening night to watch a good movie because all the language and the subliminal message with sex and everything is in there. Our kids is being bombarded from the time for their souls, from the time they get here, or even inside the mom's womb. They can hear mom and daddy cussing and acting a fool. So our soul is being drenched with all this evilness of this world. And he said, I have overcome the world. And we still want to do it on our own strength, and it ain't working. And we can see the result of that. So, I think about our ancestors who worked the fields, and they would sing those songs and moan and groan, and they were taking it in the prayer of lifting up the voice and going to their knees, And I think we have to be in that desperation for our families, for their souls, because trust me, a lot of people are leaving here. They're not going to heaven. And some people believe that when you die, you just sleep. And it's amazed me how many people believe you just sleep. Nothing there. You're not accountable for your soul. That soul's gonna live on. We have to do this in his strength, not ours.
And you're so right. And sometimes we even have to humble ourselves. Say, for instance, we prayed about this situation, and sometimes we got to put feet to our prayers. Sometimes if a person has done another person wrong, an apology many times is in order for that relationship to move on. Sometimes relationships are held up because of unspoken words, pride, and a lack of humility. We're going to get ready to close it on those notes. I'm going to let you have the last remarks on that.
I just want I want the parents to start there, because God made you the head, the fathers and the mothers, to ask the Holy Spirit to guide you in giving words of encouragement, of love, to support our children. They need that. And even you guys